You know, I don't think you're being completely candid with me about your frequent visits.
Well, as a matter of fact...
But I think I know the reason why you persist in popping up. You simply enjoy being around the magic of show business.
Well, you're a very magnetic lady. There's no doubt about it.
Oh. But I do have guests. Would you care to join us? We're running a film.
Oh, thank you very, very much. No, I can't. This is Sunday, and I promised my dog I'd take him to the park.
You promised your dog. How sweet.
Greetings, Columbo fans. That's Steve.
And that's Sean.
And welcome to the Columbo Confab podcast. See how we planned that?
That's great. Hey, Sean, do you not like my new hairstyle?
No. Love it. Why?
Well, it's the Croc Cano hairstyle. It's with little curls. I'm sure you've heard of it at some point today.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. People who don't remember from last episode or don't know what Steve's talking about is the... I didn't even know that was what she said, but we're going to talk about Forgotten Lady, starring Janet Leigh, the lovely Janet Leigh.
Janet Leigh, yes.
Murderous former Broadway star, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Music, dancing... everything.
Yeah, and of course
we all
know
body. Oh my God, she was gorgeous back then. I had no idea Janet Leigh was that good looking.
You've never seen Psycho?
Well, yeah, but she's in that like for 2 minutes.
She is not. She's in it for like the first half of the movie. She gets killed about halfway through.
Yeah.
But I mean, they show every part of her in there except for the the naughty bits.
Or the naughty bits.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she's...
Yeah, so interestingly enough, so this... I wondered the movie that gets used a lot, what was the name of it in this episode?
Walking My Baby Back Home.
Right. So that was an actual movie.
Yes.
Because I was going through her IMDb and trying to figure out if that was an actual film or not, and it sure was.
Yeah, and it was Buddy Hackett's first movie. And if you pause it while I think it's in the beginning while she's watching it's in the beginning when she's commits the murder, you can see a very young Buddy Hackett singing, and Scatman Crothers is in the movie too. Do you know who Scatman Crothers is?
No, I do not.
When I tell you, he played the cook, the chef in The Shining, and he was in
yeah.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He must have been a young fella back then.
Wow, yeah, he must have.
1953. So,
and it was interesting because as I was going through the her film profile, I came across thinking that this must be the show because Bye Bye Birdie. Oh no, it is Bye Bye Birdie. Her character's name is Rosie in that movie in Bye Bye Birdie because I thought at first that what she was watching was that film, not Walking Your Baby Back Home.
Wait, she wasn't in Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah, according to IMDb.
Really?
Yeah,
with Dick Van Dyke?
Let's see who was in it. I gotta click on it. Let's see who was in that because I've never seen it. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke. Yep, she's in it, and her character's name is Rosie. Yeah, IMDb.
Yeah, that's
little flaky on my phone. That's what I'm using.
I was in the play in high school, and yeah, the Rosie is Dick Van Dyke's romantic lead.
Okay, yeah, but her character in this episode, while she's watching Walking My Baby Back Home, the character that she plays in that is Rosie.
Right. No, actually, the character that she plays in Walking My Baby Back Home is named Chris Hall.
Well, in real life, but in this Columbo episode.
Oh, in the Columbo episode, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's really fun is that there's I'm not jumping around here. This is just at the end when Columbo's at her house and they're going to watch the movie, and she pulls this, like, I think it's an old program out, and she says, "Oh, I've got this old look, there's I can't remember what actor she says, Donald Meek. There's Donald Meek, and look, there's Edward Albert." Well, Edward Albert was a murderer in the first season of Columbo, so. That was Eddie Albert is the Green Acres guy. Green Acres is the place to be. Yeah, he was a Columbo murderer. We haven't done that one yet, so that's why. I didn't know that. Yeah,
maybe I don't know that one.
Yeah. So that is the second time, or no, actually, technically, the first time Columbo, a show, actually references an actor that's already been in it, which is last episode when we did Ashes to Ashes. They mentioned Stephen Bochco, who of course wrote several episodes of Columbo, and also was the script editor for quite a while. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I think it's the wine.
No, you just started.
Either that or it's
you've had it like 2 sips. It shouldn't hit you up that bad.
You know what? I think it's. You know what? I'm not having wine tonight. I'm having milk with a pill. Yeah,
with a sleeping pill. Nice. Well, why don't you go to sleep? I'm just going to go retrieve a pistol and just lay right there. Yeah. So, okay, the story starts off with Grace and her old dancing partner from the old movies, Ned Diamond. What a name! So Grace and Ned are on the red carpet, and they're showing a film.
I didn't get that. I didn't understand what that was either.
Yeah, it was like it was called Song and Dance, a musical extravaganza.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think it was like clips from old movies.
Like That's Entertainment. There's an old movie called That's Entertainment.
Oh, was it like that?
Yeah.
And but anyway, so Vivian Leigh plays Grace. Not Vivian Leigh, sorry, Janet Leigh. Cut that out, please.
I didn't even notice. I just didn't even blink. It must be the sleeping pills going to my head.
Cut that out, please. Janet Leigh is Grace in this. So she's all excited. I guess now she feels like, oh, people love me again. This maybe can restart my career, because she's a long time retired from her acting. Unfortunately, her husband, who's at home watching the red carpet unfold on TV in his pajamas. What a
he is the
what else has this guy got going on? You think he could be there for that?
He is the epitome of the grumpy old man, I think, and he does come across as a grumpy old man.
Really, the husband?
Yeah.
Dr. Willis.
Yeah, Dr. Willis. I can't remember what's his first name. Henry Willis.
Henry, yeah.
And
I didn't get that at all, and I felt really sorry for the guy because, when she comes back. Let me rewind a little bit first. So when Ned and Grace are headed back home, Grace made an announcement. I know she made an announcement to the reporter that she's going to be producing this new Broadway hit, and it's going to restart her career. And apparently it was news to Ned, and it was news to Henry, and she just came up with it. This came out of her mouth, as she put it. And so Ned's telling her, like, well, where are we going to get the money for this? It's going to take time. We need to, find talent. And she goes, don't worry about it. I'll get the money. I'll make you the producer. Everything will be fine. Of course, her idea is to get the money from her husband, who's a retired physician of some sort. Right,
a very rich physician. Yeah.
A very successful one, because, the house is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So, anyways, the husband is not going to fund her Broadway musical. As a matter of fact, he had planned a trip around the world.
Right.
And we find out later why, which there's a very good reason for that. But he refuses to fund her. And he's very caring, and he's, I know I'm an older person, and I know you didn't marry me for love, but we can make this work. We've made it work, and and she's like a child. She treats him like shit.
She clearly, well, first of all, she's got some, I don't know what kind of, well, first of all, we find out later she's got some real serious issues, but she acts so naively optimistic, like, oh, this will be no problem. I'm just so happy.
It's like hanging out with you.
like everything will be okay. I'm just so happy. Blah 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 blah. She comes across in the story. She comes across as a little bit bipolar, maybe.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, and her history, and this is one of the longer episodes. We find out like about her history with Ned in a very short scene that's really good. And obviously, the reason that she's with this old doctor is because Ned had an accident and wasn't able to continue working with her. And apparently, she just met this old doctor, married him for his money, and he,
Do you think? I mean, because it seems like Ned even says later he tells her, I wanted to marry you, I loved you, and she was asked, what do you feel now? And he says, I still feel the same about you. So I'm kind of confused why they never ended up, and I'm wondering if that accident, because it's only brought up briefly, if it had some kind of effect on his manhood or something. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he got a aluminum pole in the groin, and I don't know.
I think he had an accident and he wasn't able to dance. So she couldn't work with him anymore, and nobody would hire her by herself. So those years, she blamed Ned for her lack of employment and lack of money, until she became older, and then somebody invites her to a preview, and she gets reacquainted with Ned. We don't know how long she's been, socializing with him before the murder, but
Oh, see, I thought they were longtime friends before the.
Oh yeah, they did, but because they were working together. But then there must have been a separation at some point, and then they got back together on a social basis. Do you understand what I mean? That's why they never got married, because they stopped working together because he hurt himself in a drunk driving accident.
Right.
So at some point, and when they got older, shortly before the story occurs, they must have gotten together and worked on something. I made this movie, maybe the Star Sing and Dancing movie or whatever it's called, but she's not like having an affair with him or anything like that.
No, you don't get that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's sleeping with her husband either, but because they're in completely separate bedrooms.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Well, would you if you were her? Anyway, we can't talk. Let's not talk about that. Who is sleeping together though? The maid and the butler. Man, did he score? Yeah.
Well, she makes dinner, and what a great wife.
So
Alma and Raymond. Alma is the maid, cook. What else does she do? She probably washes the cars. Raymond, what a life. If you're not going to become fabulously rich, I would love to do that for the rest of my life.
I agree.
They live very comfortably. You just got to attend to the whims of two, extremely rich people. Start a film. You go back, finish off a bottle of wine with your wife while you watch Johnny Carson. Mm-hmm. What a life. That looked like that could be fun.
I also wondered why the choice to have them be married, which was interesting. They didn't have to be married, but I guess that makes, the whole thing with them sitting and watching TV together, I guess that just makes it a little bit more organic.
Maybe.
So, yeah, and they're watching the Carson show, and at one point Johnny says, well, at the conclusion of the show, I guess maybe I'm jumping ahead a little, but this is not germane to the murder itself. He says, well, have a good weekend, everybody. And we learn later on that it's Thursday night. So, yeah, that was pointed out to me.
Oh, that's right, because it's Friday. That's when the vocalist trainer comes. Right.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't catch that at all. So, yeah, Alma and Raymond. What a great... I'd love to have that life.
And do you know Raymond? Have you seen him before in anything?
No, I didn't recognize him.
Do you watch have you ever seen the Planet of the Apes movies?
Yes.
He was Dr. Zaius in the Planet of the Apes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how would I recognize? Well, I mean, that's really interesting, Sean.
I don't know.
He's under like a pound of makeup and latex. Would I recognize that?
Well, it's like when we did the other one. Oh, that's Kim Hunter. She was in Planet of the Apes. And she played Roddy McDowell's. You don't remember her? You don't recognize it? Okay. Well, it's just interesting, that he was Dr.
Okay, no, that
Fate.
is interesting. That's an interesting fact.
Oh, there's
yeah.
there's somebody else in this that I'm going to talk about that I found out something that he played. I hope that you remember the show but well, keep on. Tell us about the murder, Steve.
Okay, so Grace needs $500,000 to do what she wants, right?
$500,000.
$500,000. Ain't happening. And so she, in her childlike state, or her temperament, she devises a way she's going to get that money. And unfortunately for poor Henry, that means his death. So she, so his routine is he likes to have a glass of milk. I'm going to assume it's a warm glass of milk. He has a sleeping pill. And he likes that while he reads. And I guess falls asleep. Oh, what a wonderful way. I mean, that's pretty much what I do, minus the pill. Replace that with maybe booze. I don't have the warm milk.
Well,
and if you replace the book with YouTube or something, that's pretty much how I fall asleep every night.
So that's like
in
instead of
my
a book,
pajamas.
it's an iPad.
Right.
I was going to say.
So
yeah,
so
when I'm not drinking, I go to sleep with a sleeping pill and a book and fall asleep just like he did in this. Actually, that's a true story.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still have the gun in your glove compartment, right? Of your vehicle, right? Okay.
Sure.
So she, Grace is decided that she's going to double up his dosage by dumping a little extra. She breaks open the pill to dump the powder into his milk, so he'll double his dosage, which, in result, will put him out even deeper into sleep.
Now wait, I've got a question for you, Steve. I need to point something out.
Yeah, go ahead.
She gets the extra sleeping pill from the cupboard in the kitchen immediately upon returning from the premiere. Okay.
Right.
She has not yet gone up and told her husband about it and expected him to give her $500,000. So she has the possibility of committing murder in mind, I think. Well,
maybe she's going to take the pill for herself until she changes her mind.
I guess.
No.
She's going to watch a movie.
She's going to watch a movie. Yeah.
So I don't know when she made the decision to kill him. It must have been when.
She knew he was going to deny her, I guess.
Yeah. So
that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. There's something else that doesn't work as well, but I'd have to talk about the ending first. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay. So she's going while he's getting ready for bed. The husband, Grace, decides that she's going to watch a movie, which she does. It almost sounds every night. I'm not real sure, but around 11 o'clock, she wants to see her movie, and she's got this beautiful theater set up in her home. I love these beautiful homes you see in Columbo. But yeah, so the butler, Raymond, sets up the film. She gets into something more comfortable, lights a cigarette, has her brandy, and she just sits there and watches her old films that she starred in. And that's what we were talking about earlier. So the name of this film was Walking My Baby Back Home.
Oh, man, that's the life. Could you imagine, Raymond, tonight I'd like to watch Solo or 120 Days of Sodom. And then there's a little wood panel that opens up, and
yeah.
But the screen was just as big as our, TVs that we have now.
Well, back then that was probably,
that's
extravagant.
True. That's absolutely true.
So, I guess during that time, once Raymond the butler starts the film, he then goes. He doesn't get to retire, but he goes eat his dinner, watch Carson with his maid wife, and during that time, that's when Grace decides she is going to sneak out. By the way, she's wearing a black leotard, like a form-fitting black leotard, underneath her nightgown, and she's got a nice body even at her age. I wonder how old she was. Was she in this? Do you know?
She was 48 years old in this, give or take a year or so.
Oh my God, she's almost our age.
And fun fact about this, by the way, this aired almost exactly a month after I was born. This is my Columbo birth episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I know what yours is, but we haven't done it yet. But I'll tell you when we get there.
Oh, okay. So she slips out in her little cat suit, and she takes her husband's revolver out of the car, out of the glove box. Yeah. She then, I guess, she has to get back before the film reel changes over. Interestingly enough, I don't know if Raymond is aware of the Q mark. I learned about that in another Columbo.
Yeah.
In the top right corner.
That's right. This is another one where the murderer has to get back in time for a.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Or did he put a nickel in the film reel to?
That's another. That's right. Wow. Did he bring some raisins and iced tea with him to the projection booth?
No, but there's some shoe fetishes going on in this episode. We'll get to that.
The healthy, full of iron. Yeah.
So, after that changeover, she then goes up to her husband's room, locks herself in, and she puts a gun in his hand and pulls the trigger, making it look like suicide. Oh, no, she does pull out some of his medical files to make it look like he was depressed about his whatever issue, his
prostate condition, which is important.
Right.
You can laugh, but it's important that it's prostate. And what I found interesting is about the murderer is that she's certainly a squeamish murderer, because I've never seen a murderer actually look away and squint their eyes so they couldn't see. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's really kind of sad because he was such a nice guy. But so she runs back down and hopes to get back before the end of the film, which we found out later is an hour 45 in length.
Yeah.
But the film reel broke, and it's just spinning in place. So she's
I'm sorry. Going back a second. You forgot to mention that she gets out of the room by jumping off the balcony onto a tree. That she then just being in the shape that she is, she's able to do this at 48 years old. Right.
And so she climbs down this tree from the balcony. That way it looks like the door was locked from the inside, and that there's nobody could have committed a murder if he was by himself. She goes back to the film, sees that the film reel is now broken, and so she has to splice it back together to make it look like it was fine. And so she fixes that, and she gets back in time to sit back down, and that's when Raymond comes back to I guess put everything back up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now she
and her final thing, she does ask Raymond to check on Dr. Willis.
Yes.
Dr. Willis.
Well, she goes to her. I thought it was Willis. It's not Willis.
Is it Willis? It is Willis. It is. I'm sorry. You're right.
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis?
So she goes to her room.
But okay, one of the things I do think. We do find out she's got memory issues.
Yeah.
People listening to this podcast know this, so I don't think we're spoiling anything.
No. Yeah,
but she does have memory problems.
Yes.
And there's a scene while she goes back to her bedroom. She's looking at herself in the mirror, and you hear Raymond in the background knocking on the door of Dr. Willis's room. Are you all right? Let me in. And she's looking in the mirror. And there's a confused look on her face.
Yes.
And almost as she's legitimately concerned that Raymond can't get in. So I think that from that moment on, she's forgotten that she killed her husband.
There was somebody on one of the Facebook pages that I follow, Columbo Facebook pages, that asked the same question, and it was like yesterday. And I've always agreed, and I think this is what the intention was that she literally forgot about the murder 20 minutes after she committed it. But how could she have planned that murder ahead of time and not forgotten about it?
Yeah.
So the memory, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. But the look on her face, you can legitimately see where she looks concerned, and because she's rubbing her temples, like, oh, I've got the headache, and
that's what we find out later. That's the aneurysm that she has. So okay, they break into the room. We don't see at that point, but we do see the next scene cuts to the entire LAPD is outside of this home. Columbo's walking up. He's obviously disheveled, more than usual. And yeah,
he forgot his coat. He forgot his badge. Oh, I'm Lieutenant Columbo.
And his watch.
and his book with his pen.
Yeah, he forgot everything. I actually thought, I wasn't really sure if the shirt he was wearing was his pajama top, or if it was just his unbuttoned,
yeah,
shirt.
That's what I thought. I thought that. I guess no. I think it was his. I think it was his regular shirt. I seem to remember that there was one where he was in his pajamas, but I may be wrong. Maybe that was the cruise ship one. Maybe that was Troubled Waters, because he was in his pajamas when they came and knocked on his door and told him about the.
Right.
But it's an interesting scene of the crime.
It's early in the morning. He's not up yet. It's what?
It's I think we've got a lag. I said it's an interesting scene of the crime scene that comes up. It's strangely mechanical and organic or something. I don't know what it is about it. That his conversation with the butler and his horrific realization that the hand of the dead man will not contract but expand after they take the gun out of it. Did you notice that?
Yeah. That was creepy. That's an actual thing, by the way. It's what they call it, cardiovactic or something, spasm or something like that.
Yeah, the guy says it.
Where the hand will grip the gun and it like literally just, I guess, grows cold. It just is in that position.
Yeah,
which can be dangerous because if there's another bullet in there, it's very possible it could go off again. Right? Trying to loosen the hand from the gun. But yeah, so we also now have a new comedic relationship between Raymond and Columbo, as Columbo never gets along with the staff, with the butlers or the maids of anybody, especially his cigar smoking, because and this is no different. But yeah, there was a scene while Columbo's waiting for a cup of coffee, he starts snoring while he's standing up because he's still
yeah. Have you ever done that?
I don't think so. I don't think I've been that tired. Have you?
I think maybe like when we were maybe getting up early to go to the airport and standing in line. I did that once. I fell asleep standing in line.
Funny.
Maybe at the bar when I was too drunk. I've done it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Columbo right off the bat has issues with the scene because right now they're thinking it's suicide, but I don't. He already has suspicions it's a murder. Some of the things he's noticed is that if he's depressed, why was he taking sleeping pills? Why would you do that?
You don't plan to kill yourself and take sleeping pills. And then there's the issue of he explains a lot of this later on, but at the end of the scene, he makes the realization that if the gun was kept in the glove compartment of the car in the garage, and the doctor intended to shoot himself, why did he put his book down and then go get the gun?
Right, not dog ear it. Yeah.
And his slippers are not dirty at all. He says they've only touched the rug.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny because he's leaving. Everybody's leaving the house at this point. And as he's going out, the butler asks for his notebook and his pencil back. And so Columbo gives it back to him. Then he goes running back upstairs as if he forgot something. And he forgot to look at the shoes. That's what So he goes back up just to look at the slippers.
I think that when he left the house, knowing that it was murder, and knowing that it must have been committed by somebody inside the house because it was locked from the inside, I think that then walking out of the house, he knew it was the wife without even meeting her. It was much easier. I think that's my theory.
What?
So the man was murdered.
Go on. Well, why did you?
So he knows the man was murdered, but the door was locked on the inside, which means he must have been killed by somebody inside the house, right? I don't know. So he must have been killed by somebody inside the house. So he figures that since the butler and the maid can give each other alibis, that it must be the wife, who he hasn't met yet.
Right.
And that's why he comes back
right.
the next
And there's
day
even something later. Yeah. Well, there's something later, let's just skip ahead, where Columbo's speaking to Grace, at the dance studio, and she says, and I legitimately think the character is concerned by saying, "Who would kill my husband? He was a beloved. He was beloved in his profession. He had no enemies. He was loved. So who would kill him?" And it was exactly, yeah, who would kill this guy? I mean, he was respected. You know, not a confrontational kind of guy. He seemed like just a really friendly person. But anyway, so next morning, Ned Diamond, who we saw earlier.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I wanted to mention one thing.
What's that?
There's a scene after he leaves the bedroom, after he leaves the crime scene, and he goes down the stairs to the landing, and he's talking to the butler. Mm-hmm. He has a whole conversation with the butler. He goes down the stairs to where the front entrance is, and then he finds out that he didn't look at the bottom of the slipper, so he turns around and he goes back upstairs. All of that, and it's like a 5-minute long thing, all of that is one continuous shot of people walking in and out of the frame and him talking to the butler. They did that all in one take.
I didn't know that.
I've seen this like I don't know how many times, and I just noticed this for the first time.
No, I didn't notice that at all. That's cool.
There's a lot of that in this, like even in the scene of the crime, and there's a big long shots where it's just one take of him walking around and looking at things and talking to people. Like he goes outside to the balcony and looks out there, and then he comes back in. It's all one take. Whoever directed this, and I'm sorry I didn't write it down, but they clearly were having a lot of fun with that, playing little tricks like that. So,
interesting. So the next morning, Ned comes to visit Grace to see how she's doing, how she's holding up, and he tells her, "Well, we can postpone the whatever they need to do to get this Broadway show going." And she's having none of that, so she tells him that she needs to stay busy, and then she references the character she played in Walking My Baby Back Home. She says Rosie gave her best performance tonight. Her father died. And so that was her kind of her what's the word I'm looking for here? That was her inspiration, that she was going to keep busy and do something even though her husband had passed away the night before.
And Ned looks at her and he goes, "But Grace, Rosie is a character."
Right.
Film. Like he says to her, "Are you all right?" Like, that's kind of a dumb question. Her husband was killed yesterday. I don't think you should ask her if she's all right. She's obviously not all right, but I don't think she's been all right for a while. She's clearly a few sandwiches short before the story even starts. So,
well, yeah, I think her character's very flighty, and like you said, she's very. What was you said that she was very bipolar, I think.
Yeah, bipolar. Yeah. I mean, I don't want anybody who's bipolar coming after us and say that's not bipolar. Bipolar is technically this, but from a layman's terms, like that's where she feels angry 1 second and then elated the next minute, or manic. Then that's what it reminds me of. I mean, 1 minute she's all excited about the play, and then as soon as her husband tells her that he's not going to fund it, she just somebody flips a switch and then she becomes murderous Molly.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, it's like flipping a switch. Yeah. So Columbo comes back. Now he's got dog in tow, telling dog not to bark. I really find it odd that it's so obvious that the animal trainer has not trained this dog to actually bark, because the barking is always off camera, or dog's mouth is covered by an object, so you can't see. But I don't think he's actually barking. I think he's just panting. He's just a happy dog.
It's the same barks. It's the same barks from another episode that we saw a couple episodes ago, Mind Over Mayhem. They used the same barks over and over again.
Yeah, I don't think this dog is barking. I think it's done in post, So Raymond, Well, no. So Columbo is greeted by the butler Raymond, and Raymond is not happy. He does not want to see Columbo. Mm-hmm. Even has a little gripe that he had to clean up all night after all his law enforcement buddies came through. But yeah, so Raymond's going to go and see if if Grace is willing to take company. So Columbo's waiting downstairs and then Ned Diamond comes in. He's on his phone, and Columbo kind of recognizes him while he's on the phone. And so Ned thinks, oh, he's just a fan. He wants an autograph.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we find out that Columbo, he loves gangster movies. He talks about, who's he talking about?
He talks about Alan Ladd, His Gun for Hire, which is another movie that they talk about in another episode. But what he does, and I love this moment, is when he doesn't know who this guy is. So when Ned writes down his autograph, and Columbo's face goes, Ned Diamond! Oh my god! Like, he just lights up. Actually, it looks like he's grimacing more, but it's really cute, I think. Yeah.
Well, we find out the only reason Columbo knows who Ned is. What was the line? He says, my wife drugged me to all your movies.
He says, I'm sorry I had to be dragged. You know who this guy, and I don't remember the actor's name, I looked it up, but he reminds me very much of David Niven. You know who David Niven is, right?
No,
Right?
no idea.
Okay, you saw Murder by Death. I know that. David Niven was the detective with the wife, and he was all prim and proper and from, English accent and all that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's not ringing a bell, but keep going.
Okay, well, he was in Murder by Death. David Niven also was a very, really famous actor. He played, you don't care. He played, what's the fucking movie? Around the World in 80 Days, I think. He was in
Never
that.
saw it.
Yeah, well, it's okay. You're not missing a lot. But you know who's in it? Cesar Romero.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. Orange slices. So, where were we?
It was lemon, but anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, he's sneaking in things that
They were tangerine slices. They weren't orange slices.
Tangerine.
It was tangerine slices. Anyway.
Okay.
Where were we? Oh yeah, Ned Diamond. So Columbo goes upstairs to talk to, for all he knows, Mrs. Willis. Okay?
Yeah, he has no idea, and he's totally shocked that it's Grace Willis.
Yeah.
The Grace Willis.
Grace Wheeler. Grace Wheeler. Yeah.
Oh, Wheeler.
Yeah, that's her stage name, Grace Wheeler. Probably her
right,
maiden
right.
name. Yeah.
I did not think of that. The two W's, sorry.
So I can't remember what they talk about in the scene, but I know the second scene with her is kind of they're sort of blending together in my mind. But there's a really good clue involving the book that obviously a fake book that Dr. Willis was reading.
Too bad. Do you want to talk about the book now? I mean, that's a little farther ahead than I was expecting.
Oh no, we can no. I got it. You go ahead. You're the director.
Okay, so the name of this book that the doctor was reading the night of his apparent suicide was The Transformation of Mrs. McTwick. And as the book owner describes it, now I was not able to write down everything he said because he said it so quickly, and I didn't feel like spending 5 minutes trying to notate everything he said about this book. But it's about an Irish sweepstakes winner that travels to Paris to get a facelift, I think, and she runs into an exiled white Russian prince who's also a dwarf, or midget, I'm sorry.
Little person.
And they end up frolicking. What? Oh, sorry. Well, what's in the episode? Okay, frolicking in Africa during a safari. So it's just like all over the place. It's just what a book. I mean, I want to read it now. I mean, this apparently it's a comedy book. I don't know if you got that from what I just described, but
it's basically not the type of book one would read before one commits suicide. But I do want to point out one thing to you. The bookstore clerk, did he look familiar to you?
He did, yeah, but I couldn't place him.
Okay, so do you remember back in the 80s? And don't ask me what station this was on or what network it was on, but there was a Super Mario Brothers cartoon.
Oh, it's Luigi.
Yes, he was Luigi because they would frame it with like live action of like Mario and Luigi in there. Yeah, how the fuck did you figure that out?
Well, the hint that you gave me was plenty.
Well, you didn't say Mario is okay. Yeah, he was Luigi. His name is Danny Wells. No longer with us as of like 4 years ago.
You know who played Mario?
Who?
It was that wrestler. Oh shit! I was kind of hoping you'd tell me. It was like it was the guy who had the rubber bands in his beard.
Oh my god! Yes.
It's like
that was
Lou,
him?
Dr. Lou, or what was this?
Lou, Randy Dog? No.
Oh god! I have to get my phone out again.
Yeah, I know. We can't continue until we know. God, and I used to watch
the Mario Brothers. It was called the Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah. It was bad. Like as a kid,
I liked
thinking it was bad. You liked it? I mean, I think if I remember, I didn't mind the cartoon.
Lou Albano.
Okay, Lou Albano. Is he still alive?
Let's see. Lou, I would think he's dead, but let's see. Yeah, he died in 2009. But yeah, he had like rubber bands all over his face. He almost looked like a pirate.
I remember, and I remember his voice. I was gonna jokingly say when you asked me who played Mario, I was as a joke I was gonna say Ron Jeremy, because
Ron Jeremy could play that role.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember the movie?
I've never seen the movie.
If you ever do a movie podcast, maybe we should discuss this off air, like kind of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah, no one's done that podcast yet.
Are you serious? Or are you sarcastic?
Oh, there's like hundreds of podcasts like that.
But okay, so the Mario Brother movie was Bud Hopkins played Mario, and who played Luigi in that one? That was he's alive now. He's in a lot of stuff.
Did you say Bob Hopkins?
Bob Hopkins was in the Mario Brother movie.
Bob Hoskins.
Was it Hoskins? Oh.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins of Roger Rabbit fame. He no longer
right.
does.
Yeah, he died just a year or two ago.
I think maybe like 3 years ago. So did Janet Leigh. Janet Leigh died maybe 3 years ago. But who was it that played Luigi in the movie?
It was John
Leguizamo. John Leguizamo. Yep.
Yeah, it had Dennis Hopper in there.
Dennis Hopper was in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, Fisher Stevens was in that movie.
Really?
You know who Fisher Stevens was?
Yes, Alex Brady, the great director. Right. Huh. There's always a connection that always goes back to Columbo.
That's great.
Well, anyway, I'm so
sorry. Bob Hoskins would have been a great villain for Columbo, by the way.
He would have. Yeah, he would have been a great villain for Columbo. Yeah, I was gonna say he could play Columbo, but maybe not. But yeah, he was. Was he English or Irish or Scottish or something?
I think. I don't know. I think he was English, definitely, but.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyways.
We'll
get back to Columbo.
We'll save all that for the Bob Hoskins podcast that we're going to do.
Or the Mario Brother podcast.
Yeah, that's a niche.
So, Columbo's talking to Grace. He's interviewing her, just trying to figure out where she was. She heard the gunshot. Just general questions. And just kind of going up how much she likes her work. And she already we find out that she's already forgotten Columbo's name. Like she just cannot, and throughout the whole episode, she could not remember Columbo's name.
She can't remember a lot of stuff. Now, I've got a question for you, Steve. Mm-hmm. You've seen this twice now. You watched it for this, and you watched it one time on your own.
Yeah.
And did you notice the first time that she kept forgetting stuff?
No, I don't think so.
She literally does it in the first scene that she's in. When she's in the limo with Ned, she's like, oh, we can get that choreographer. What's his name? It'll come to me. She's doing that the entire episode. She's always forgetting something.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that she even forgets where she is, but she's not saying anything about it.
Yeah.
When he
there's a scene. let's get to it now. There's
Okay,
a
sorry.
beautiful scene where Columbo is interviewing her at Ned Diamond's dance studio.
Yes, yes.
She's getting really pissed off at the guy that's going to be her lead. So she's taking a break, and Columbo is talking to her again, and he's talking to her. He goes, "Well, we just, it's very strange behavior when the night of his murder." She goes, "Whose murder?"
Yeah.
"Your husband. He was reading a book. Do you know why he'd read this book?" And he goes, I don't. What book? It's like she was hearing the case for the first time. She was almost as if she was finding out that her husband was dead for the first time.
It's really good. It's a really good performance that she pulls off. It's fantastic, and yeah.
But let's go back to what were you going to say?
I was to say, in that same scene when she's performing or trying to perform, by my eyes, it looks like she's doing fine. But I think what's really sad about it is that all those dancers are so much younger, and she just can't keep up with them, despite the fact that she may still be a good dancer. She can't perform as well anymore.
Yeah, that is sad. Yeah. It's not the other dancer's fault that she keeps missing her mark.
Mm-hmm.
But so let's go back to where Columbo's interviewing her for the first time, and she finds out that Columbo's a big fan, so she invites Columbo and the fictitious Mrs. Columbo to watch one of her movies. And Columbo, you can tell right off the bat, is very dismissive. Not dismissive, but uncomfortable. He agrees, but you can kind of tell he's not really. I think you're right. I think he suspected her almost immediately because he figures it's going to be the wife, and he doesn't feel really comfortable socializing in that manner with the murderer right now.
Absolutely, yes.
But
yeah.
So anything you want to add to that scene?
Do I want to what?
Is there anything you want to add to that particular scene?
What scene? No, never mind. That's a bad joke.
You're so funny.
You're so funny, huh? You're such a super lady. So if the way that he reacts is because if you went to I don't know, Tom Baker's house, and he said, "Steve, why don't you come back tomorrow, and we can watch whatever episode of Doctor Who you like, and we'll have dinner with my dogs," and you'd be like, "Sure, that's great. Let's watch."
It wouldn't be a yes. It wouldn't be a hell yes. It'd be a fucking hell yes. I would do that.
You'd be like Kathy Bates in Misery. Oh, it would be an honor. And then you'd show up to his house and you'd say that you wanted to watch Castrovalva.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a little in-joke for the Doctor Who fans, or even worse, Time and the Ronnie. Can we watch Tom? Can we watch Time and the Ronnie? Oh,
he wouldn't even know what that is. He would not have a clue. But back to Columbo. So Columbo is now. So he's not happy with the story about suicide, but he does mention during the crime scene investigation the night of. There's some notes that apparently it looks like the doctor was reading, and it was his own file about his prostate. But Columbo even says, it's two doctors talking back and forth. It's for the layman that there's nothing that can be understood. So he actually goes and visits Dr. Lansby, who's, I guess, the doctor's doctor.
Right. Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Roger. So
Victor.
Never mind.
Over. Okay.
You're throwing me off.
Have you ever seen a grown man naked, Steve?
I look in a mirror every day. So
Steve never wants a second cup of coffee at home. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit. There's been 3 glasses of wine involved. Okay, Steve, keep going.
Okay. God. So talks to Dr. Lansby, finds out that yes, he did have a prostate issue, but it wasn't anything major, nothing that would you'd want to kill yourself over. It was
Yeah.
something that was easily cured, a very high success rate for surgery.
Yeah. This is a fact. And I have a friend who had his prostate removed, and he was about 20 years older than us, and it was a very easy operation, and you're in and you're out. I think.
What does that do? Like if you if you lose your prostate, what does that mean?
That means when you don't anymore. It doesn't
Well, can you take like not steroids, but can you take testosterone pills or something like that?
If your prostate is removed?
Yeah.
No, it's if it's removed, then the problem is gone, but you can no longer ejaculate.
Okay, but so there's nothing like you can take the supplement what your prostate was producing.
No, and the drug Propecia used to be a prostate medication, and then they found that it grows your hair back. So then they started selling it to grow hair back. That's a fun fact there and that's why I will probably never have a prostate problem.
Okay.
Because I take that medication. I'd be Prince William if it wasn't for that medication.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. I'm gonna look into that.
You didn't know that? Yeah. Of course, it has its side effects there with the old down there, but that's okay. Anyway, so the hospital that the Columbo goes to talk to the doctor's doctor is fairly familiar. It is the same hospital corridor used in another Columbo episode.
Oh, is it with the one where Leonard Nimoy? Was that
No, it's the one with George Hamilton that we haven't talked about yet.
Oh.
So, and he's approached while he's in the hospital by an attractive young female sergeant.
Lefkowski or something like that.
Lefkowitz.
Yeah.
He hasn't taken his gun practice or his gun test in a long time.
So yeah, now we're introduced to kind of a subplot of this episode.
Yeah.
So we find out later that Columbo hasn't taken his firearm training or field test training for firearms, possibly 5 years. That could be wrong, which we found out it is. And he gets harassed throughout the episode by his superiors, by other investigators. It's kind of funny, actually.
It is funny. It's played out just enough to where it doesn't get tiresome.
Right. And she says something like, "I never see you in homicide or the office, homicide office." And what does he say? He goes, "Well, most of the homicides usually don't happen there." So.
Yeah. It's just
true.
It's funny because it's a moment of Columbo being harassed. It's like it's been it's gone the other way. Now somebody's harassing him for a change instead of the other way around. So
yeah.
All right.
So now we can go to the dance school. So
Which the music, I can't get the music out of my head. By the way, dun 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 dun.
Why don't you go? You should watch it after this. Yeah.
Dun.
So Ned notices that something's not quite right with Grace at the dance studio, and he even says, "You've got a lot on your mind considering," and she even says, "Considering what?" And she has no idea her husband's dead at this point, which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she thinks he's talking about the show. She's, it's yeah.
Yeah, so she has no memory of murdering him, of course. But yeah. So at this point, Columbo knows it's her. He just can't figure out how the hell she would have killed her husband and then gotten out of the room. Oh, wait, no. There's a very important clue, and that is that her husband supposedly put the book down, the happy book about Mrs. McTwig or whatever it is, and he didn't dog-ear it. By the way, did you notice that he would read 60 pages at a time in bed? That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, especially after a sleeping pill.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? He would go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. He would get dressed and go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, read himself until take the pill, and then I don't know, but 60 pages a night. That's a good block of reading, even for a bit of light reading like that.
Yeah.
And I want to mention the dance studio. It may not be shown until later, but it is in the dance studio. Was there anything in the dance studio that looked familiar to you at all? Was there anything that you
No.
Okay, so my mother, they were here for Thanksgiving a couple months ago, and they wanted to watch Columbo, so I showed them this one, and I paused it, and I said, that picture right there, what is that? And my mom goes, oh, that's easy. It's a Degas. I'm like, you knew that? That's a real painting? She's like, oh yeah, the watercolors, Degas, or the pencil drawing. The art that is stolen in the Suitable for Framing episode, remember, with is hanging in the dance studio. So after we were done with Forgotten Lady, we watched Suitable for Framing. And my parents seemed to enjoy that as well. So now my parents own the entire gamut of Columbo on DVD.
Wow!
In the brand new casing that they made for it.
Did you tell them about this wonderful podcast that we do?
Okay, so no, I don't remember. Did I tell this story before? I told my dad about it. He's like, "Well, how do I look at it? How do I download? How do I get to it?" So I had to explain to him about the podcast app, and here put in Columbo Confab. And he starts playing our Publish or Perish episode, and I always have a clip of the episode at the beginning, and then there's music.
Yeah, I don't know. You told me, but I don't know if this was on
he
there.
Goes, why aren't you talking? When are you going to be in it? Isn't this your I'm like, yeah, hold on, just wait. So then I say, oh, we're finally going to do a Jack Cassidy episode. We've been wanting to that like cock hungry sluts. And my dad, and he's not Mr. Prude. He goes, I'm swearing. You say Sharon, he says cock-hungry sluts. You know, folks, I don't swear like this in real life, which is why I do it on the podcast, you know?
Yes, he does.
I never say cock-hungry sluts.
Well, then I guess it's only me then, because...
Oh, I forgot to mention, when she's at the dance studio, he shows up with a paper bag.
Right, and I thought for sure it was his lunch, or maybe his shoes, or what else does he put in bags? But yeah,
I'm sorry. Where were we? Oh,
but yeah. So no, we learned that Grace is at this point she's very confused. She doesn't seem to remember anything. It's like she's learning about her husband's death for the first time. We also get introduced now to Lieutenant Flaherty. And we found out that he hasn't been to the gun range in 5 years. That was a mistake, of course. No, it's been 10 years since Columbo has been. And if he doesn't show up tomorrow, he's going to lose his license.
Right.
His police badge. So.
Right. So what Columbo does is he hires... The way this is all set up is so beautiful, though, because later on we cut to the dance studio again, and there's just some schmuck hanging out in the doorway, and Ned Diamond's like, who are you? What are you here? Oh, I'm waiting for Lieutenant Columbo. And it's just because Columbo wants him to take his badge and go take the test for him. And this is not uncommon. And Columbo, he's mentioned he doesn't like guns in the past. Like, I think...
Yeah, he even says to the lieutenant, like, I don't carry a gun. And he's like, what? You don't carry your gun?
He's never used it in the history of the show.
No.
Oh, no, he used it once. There's one episode
where
he used
the one
twice. I'm sorry,
it's
twice.
One of the 90s one where he's undercover. I think was that the name of it?
Oh,
Columbo's
maybe that one too. I was gonna say, Undercover, the kidnapping one, the No Time to Die.
The kidnapping one, yes.
Yeah, he pulls his gun at the end of that one. And there's also a 70s one where he fires a bullet into a box of sand. And he hates doing it. Like, he's like, I hate guns. We'll probably talk about that one eventually. But where were we? Grace, he shows back up at Grace's house.
Who's this? Grace and so it's starting to blend in my mind, but doesn't Grace have breakfast with Ned, and that's where she's asking for a new lead partner.
Oh yeah, that's right. And they talk about it could have been him, and she says something about if it wasn't for your accident, your stupid drinking. And these things that she's saying are just very... She's losing it. You can tell. And, he's telling her... He basically tells her he loves her without saying that right out.
Well, no, he told her he wanted to marry her in that scene.
Yeah. And then he says... And she says, how do you feel now? And he goes, I still feel the same. And then they cut to something else. And it's actually a really good two-person scene that is not long... They get a lot of storytelling done in that one scene. Very well written and very compact and practical and concise, and very, very, you get a lot of the history behind these two people, and what they've gone through together, and how they really do love each other. I like that when you see something in a movie where there's no long exposition. It's just a short conversation like that, and it doesn't seem forced in or anything. And for purposes of this episode, this being a longer episode, they used stuff like that and stuff like him in the gun training bit. They did need padding to fill it up, but
yeah. Well, it was a good filler. It didn't. The filler didn't feel forced.
Yeah,
it was
didn't
actually
feel forced.
A little lighthearted humor. Well, in the scene they cut to, by the way, is where Columbo's buying dog an ice cream cone.
Is that good for your dog to eat ice cream? I can't imagine it would be.
Well,
bad, right?
I've heard chocolate, but he didn't give him the chocolate cone. He gave him the vanilla. So I'm sure that dog's probably going to have some nasty runs after that.
All over the car. And then he pulls up to the house, and the dog's got his whole face is covered with ice cream.
Now I have two dogs. You put anything on their face they're not going to keep that on. They're going to fuss with it. That dog's really well trained. I just gotta say. But it was a funny scene. And then while he's feeding his dog ice cream, another investigator, an internals affair officer, comes up and tells him, we're going to take your badge away if you don't show up tomorrow. So this is kind of this running gag.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe the dog was a bukkake dog. So, no.
Oh.
No.
What? No.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I'll help you edit that out.
So those of you who don't know what that means can Google it.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll edit it out.
So Columbo is so he goes back to Grace's home, and so she and Ned are entertaining a bunch of people. They have got a party going on. I don't know if they're trying to build money for the show, like they're doing a
fundraiser.
A fundraiser, yeah, or if they're just having a party and they're all going to watch her movie together. Like, she loves having people come over to watch her movies. That's like her thing.
She is really into herself, or not really into herself, but she's really into the past. Yeah, and she's like an old gay guy who still hangs out at the bars or something. Interesting. Anyway,
so Columbo doesn't want to interrupt. He bumps into Raymond. He convinced Raymond to allow him back into the doctor's bedroom, and so he wants to see if he can climb down that tree, see if that's possible.
Yeah.
And when that's going on, Dog jumps out of the car and then proceeds to find Columbo and bark at him while Columbo's hanging from a tree. And Columbo's fighting with Dog, telling him, get out of the way, get away.
Go away, go away.
And of course, Grace hears that, and she goes outside to investigate and sees Columbo, jumping from the tree.
Okay, a couple things about this scene. I need to back up a little bit. At the party, before she starts, somebody makes a request before she starts dancing with Ned. The person who makes the request, and I can't remember what the name of the song was, is Mike Lally, the famous Columbo extra. This is the one I keep talking about. You never notice this guy. He's in like almost every single episode, every 70s episode. Also, when she sees him hanging out from the tree, she runs out, and the first thing that she says is, "Have you lost leave of your senses?" or something to that effect. And my favorite line in this whole episode is, she says, "Well, we're having a party and we're gonna watch a film. If you'd like to join us." Now, any sane person would say, "Oh, okay, sure, no problem. I'd be happy to. Maybe you run into some more famous people." But he says, "Well, ma'am, I would, but I promised my dog I'd take him to the park." To which her reply is, she hesitates for a minute, looks at him like he's nuts, even though she's the one who's... She goes, "You promised your dog you would..." Oh, how sweet.
That was a funny scene.
It's like she thinks that he's absolutely insane, when actually she's the one, of course, that's losing her mind. Yeah.
Columbo's a little quirky, you know.
Yeah. So I think we have to get to the part with the party. Not the party, but the screening that they're going to have at her house.
Well, yeah. Well, before we do that, the scene after that, Columbo actually goes and visits Ned Diamond again after paying one of his buddies $5 to go take the test for him. But yeah, he decides he's going to tell Ned he suspects Grace and why. And it's interesting because he, at the end, after he's trying to explain what the problem he has with this case, why things don't add up, he turns. Ned is against the idea that Grace is the killer, and there's no way she could never do anything like that. At the end of the scene, he's starting to turn. He's starting to think. While he doesn't believe that she did it at that point, you can tell that he's starting to believe it's possible.
If you were new Columbo, if you had never seen this before, and you had seen every other Columbo episode, and you turned it on in this scene, you would think that Ned was the killer, the way that they were communicating in this.
Yeah.
Until they start talking about Grace, because he does sort of handle Ned as if Ned's the killer, because Grace really can't speak for herself.
No. Well, because she doesn't even know she did it.
Yeah. She fucking, yeah. So.
And, and he even tells Ned, if you care for her, you'll be, he says, what does he say? He's like, tonight at 8, or tonight I have I'm going to come over to her house to view a movie together, and if you have any care for her, you'll be there at 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Yes. It's a good scene.
Yeah.
Not as good as the scene that follows.
No. Yeah. So. Yeah,
he shows up at Grace's house in a tuxedo. One of our rare instances where we could see Columbo in a tuxedo. And Peter Falk looks really good in a tuxedo, I really must say. And even the way he was holding himself as he walked through the door, I was very much reminded of Sam Diamond in Murder by Death, which of course you've seen. He played Sam Diamond. Anybody?
Yes. Right. With the hole in the back. What was it? There's
a bullet hole in your back. Oh, you should see the other guy.
Right. So, did you notice something in this scene at the very beginning?
No. What happened?
There's somebody missing. His wife.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I can't remember why he says she's not there.
Because she's feeling under the weather. If she was really there.
No, I know. If you had if let's say that you had the opportunity to go to Tom Baker's house and watch Doctor Who with them, and you felt a little under. No, I'm saying, let's say that you were running a 100-degree fever. Would you just take a bunch of Tylenol and go anyway? I think you would.
Mm-hmm. So you agree with me?
No, I think that this is probably a really good argument that she doesn't exist. But what I'm going to say is that he plans to expose her as a murderer by the end of the evening. And he doesn't want to mix his wife up with business. He doesn't want to.
I can see that.
That's why.
That's a good counter.
Yeah. So that's why his wife isn't there. He may not even told his wife about it in the first place. So.
Yeah, because Kate McGrew is probably a huge fan.
She was a fucking sperm when Grace Wheeler's movies came out.
So
anyway.
Wow. So yeah, and we might mention also off camera, somehow or another, Columbo shows up and he tampers with the film reel that they're going on.
When did he do that?
Right, I don't know. When did he view the wife's medical history? I don't know.
Well, it was in the dead man's files.
I guess, yeah, because he does ask Raymond to view the files. So yeah, I guess so. Mm-hmm. But so what was I going to say? Oh, so yeah, we find out that the whole time, Grace is kind of running around the home trying to show them things. She's all excited to be entertaining these two guys, Ned and Columbo. She's just so happy, and she's going from room to room like, oh, I got to show you this. Oh, I got to show you that. And during this whole time, while she's preoccupied with finding stuff to show them, Columbo's talking to Ned, saying, well, this what doesn't make sense is the film only lasts so long, but it took 15 more minutes than it should have. And how did he come to know how long the film or when it would have ended was because of Raymond's and his wife Alma were watching Carson, and Carson ends at 1:00. So that's when the movie should, he's presenting his case to Ned why it's got to be Grace that committed the murder.
Okay, I have a question for you about this.
Yeah.
I know that you may not have remembered the first time you saw it, but at this point, did you think, why is he telling Ned all this? Shouldn't he be telling her this?
I guess no. I hadn't really thought of that. What are you thinking of?
Well, because a traditional Columbo episode, he would be explaining this all to the murderer, winding down to the closing scene, or to the rather than to some third party.
Yeah, I guess, but she's so flighty though that I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sets up one of probably the most heartfelt scenes in Columbo. So yeah, he's turning Ned into a believer of that. Grace is the killer, and the reason being is that the husband had no intention to ever finance her, not because he was a grumpy old man. It was because she only had a week, maybe a month left of life, and he was planning a trip around the world, kind of as a fond farewell for his wife. Have one final good time, but she was not aware of her condition. She has an aneurysm, which is causing her memory loss, and she doesn't have much more time to go. So Columbo's now got the unfortunate process of having to arrest Grace.
Well, he can prove it also that the film broke, and either, as he said, she didn't get the butler to fix the film. It takes her only 4 minutes to fix the film because he fixes. He's as he said, he tampers it to break while they're watching it for this event here. He says either the film breaks, she fixes it in 4 minutes. She stands on her head for 11 minutes. Why did the film take 2 hours that night, the night of the murder, when it's really an hour and 45 minutes? And it must be because she was upstairs killing her husband. And he says she probably has 2 months at the most. And then right as he's about to go in and arrest her while she's having a really good time, Ned confesses to the confesses to the crime. Mm-hmm. And as Columbo's leading him out, he says, sir, there's not much to it. You're going to get free. I don't know why you did it. And Ned says, well, yeah, but it'll take probably at least a couple of months, won't it? In other words, Grace will be dead before it's all resolved.
Yeah. So he did it for her love, or for his love. I'm sorry, for her. Yeah. And that scene, I'll admit, I start tearing up a little.
Really? Got a little dusty there? Huh.
Yeah. It was just really an emotional. I mean, why she spent the rest of her days in prison, or going through that process of killing your husband, of the realization, or he's just going to sacrifice a couple of months out of his life so that she can live the final days in happiness. Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. I thought that was really nice.
And it ends for a moment. Well, I think it technically ends with a shot of Columbo as he's going out the door, but we get a shot of she just kind of forgets all of that for a moment. Well,
she goes back to watching her movies,
watching the movie, and just being nostalgic and looking at how great she was and talented she was when she was young, and that's the last we see of her. And then she died, and then Abigail Mitchell bought her house.
Is it the same house?
It's the same house from the front. Yeah, and the
really?
inside, in the hallway on the inside with the staircase. It looks
That's
like
right. It is different. Yeah.
It looks like the same set from the Dagger of the Mind episode that was set in London, the dead guy's house. I think that might be the same set.
But yeah, so when Ned confesses, he confesses in front of Grace, and she she's like, why? Why did you do it? And he knows enough what to say, and she just cries because how could this man that I think she had. I'm not saying she had a sexual relationship with, but a very emotional relationship with.
Yeah.
But he was doing it for her the whole time, and it was, I don't know, that just was a very tender scene, a very emotionally raw scene too. I thought, but I thought I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Before we rate this one, we'll hear a word from our sponsors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I always do what Mother tells me, but I never could eat oatmeal until I found oatmeal raisin crisp. Now this is oatmeal made my way. Crispy flakes with oatmeal, a bit of brown sugar, and loaded with raisins and almonds. Oatmeal raisin crisp. It's scary how good it tastes.
Oatmeal crisp, oatmeal raisin crisp.
Look, Mother, I'm eating my oatmeal.
Now that's a good boy.
And we're back. And Steve, what are we going to rate this one out of? I've done it again. I forgot to look for numbers. Shit.
It's all right. So I was so enthralled with the book in this case. If that book existed, I would so buy it. I mean, I would go on Amazon right now and buy it now. The transformation of Mrs. McTwick. So the retail price, the RSMP, is that RS
MSRP.
MSRP. Thank you. Yes,
it's mostly
MSRP.
for cars, but okay.
So it was retail price was $7.95 plus tax.
Okay.
So
all
Sean,
right.
what would you? I think I went first last time, so you get to go now. $7.95 plus tax. What would you rate this?
It's a pretty fucking good episode. This is probably, watching it again for this, I think it's among my top 7, maybe. It's up there. It's really good. And then you have the added benefit of the emotional ending. It probably has, in a way, one of the best endings of any Columbo. One of the most untraditional endings of any Columbo. This is the first time of 2 times that Columbo's let a murderer go. The second time is in It's All in the Game, when he arrests Faye Dunaway but lets her daughter go.
What? Have we seen that one?
Yeah! It's all Faye Dunaway? Hello?
I thought... Yeah. I remember now. But I thought, for some reason, I thought this was the only one where he let the murderer go.
No. I thought that too until we watched It's All in the Game. And, of course, he didn't let her go.
No,
he was just sort of, Ned Diamond forced his hand. The clues were solid. It's a longer episode that has padding, but not bad padding. I can't think of... There's examples of episodes with bad padding. I can't think of what they are. Maybe Last Salute to the Commodore. I know a lot of people would agree with that. But I would say out of $7.95, this has got to be about $7.51. This was probably... and this is 2 and 2, back to back. I like this as much as the last one we watched, Ashes to Ashes. And Janet Leigh was really good. I mean, she gave an Emmy-worthy performance, and I'm not sure why she was not nominated. Maybe she was, but I don't think she was. I would have remembered it. But really, really good. Go ahead. What are you going to rate it?
So I'm just going to echo what you're saying. I'm going to give this $7.51. A really excellent episode. I tell you what I liked. I agree with you. Janet Leigh was really, really good in this episode. Amazing. This padding, I thought, didn't feel forced. It was actually funny. It's interesting. Sometimes when you watch these in kind of the subplot characters like Dog, who I consider kind of a subplot character, sometimes he's in it a lot, or sometimes he's not in it enough. It was just right, and it was just the right amount of humor with Dog. I mean, it was I thought it was really well written. The only thing that really bothered me, but you kind of explained it later, was the fact at the time I thought, well, how did Columbo find out about her medical history? That was done off screen, so that bothered me that he found out about her memory loss. But otherwise, I thought it was just a fantastic episode. You know, sometimes when I rewatch these for the podcast, I'm not too excited because I know some of them are not that good. But this one was really just entertaining to watch again.
And when you watch it again, you notice things like her character at the beginning, when she commits the murder. I actually called him a grump early on, the victim, Dr. Willis. You're right. He wasn't a grump. He was actually just a little old man who wanted to, who wanted to live, and he knew that she had a condition. He just didn't have the heart to tell her.
And he wanted to take care of her and just show her a final good time.
And that's another tragic thing, is that he had to die. She killed him. And when you see her, not when you see her kill him, but in those beginning scenes, she's over the moon, and then she just degenerates into
a child.
She
has a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And, when your parents don't give you what you want when you're little, you like, I want to get you, kind of.
Or you shut down the government in some cases.
Oh, well, you had to go there. I guess the only other thing then you brought up, but I was not aware of it until you said it on this podcast, that it would be a sticking point, would be, why did she take that pill, upstairs, if was her intent to kill her husband, even though she wouldn't have known what his answer would have been,
Yeah.
So that didn't make any sense.
And also, she must have planned that murder the day before, because otherwise she would have planned it and then forgotten about it and not committed it. But yeah, that little tiny bit always.
Did you say there was something at the end that bothered you?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought you said that earlier. Okay.
No.
But overall, a really good episode. Yeah, there's a few little hitches here and there, but nothing that really detract from the enjoyment that I had watching it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because she's not a typical Columbo murderer. She's not she's not an asshole. She doesn't get along with him the way that Donald Pleasance did. It's just strange. And it kind of puts it outside the box for a show that's so formulaic. So yeah, we're both in the same boat about this, on the same page, I should say, about this. Very good. Yeah. And good supporting cast, Maurice Evans.
Yeah. We also forgot to mention her daughter eventually makes it to Columbo.
Oh yeah. In the Bye Bye Sky High IQ murder case.
Yes, that's right. She's a waitress.
Yeah. That was I think that was before she faced off against Michael Myers, right? Wait.
I don't know.
That movie came out in 1978. This came out in 1975, and that came out. That was before Halloween, because that would have come out in 1976 or 1977. So, all right. Well, before we spin the wagon wheel of the 90s. Well, wait. Is there anything else you want to add about this? By the way.
No. Just it's a great episode.
Everybody in it is dead, by the way, except for Alma. She's alive and well.
What?
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't.
Wow, she looked old in the episode. I can't imagine.
She is the daughter of Milton Bradley Scott, by the way. And I wondered if Milton Bradley was that the Milton Bradley. It's not the Milton Bradley, but there was a Milton Bradley actually back in the 1800s who built a factory, and I'm presuming that she is part of that family. So, all right, okay. We have one little fun bit of feedback. Let me see.
Wait, Milton Bradley, did he make board games too?
He did not make. I don't know. The little scant bit of research I did about this, supporting actor in the show. He built a factory in the 1800s. I don't know if he got into games at that point or not. Didn't Milton Bradley? Wasn't it just toys in general, or am I getting that wrong? Maybe it was.
I think it was board games, right?
Just board games? Maybe. Okay.
I thought.
No, you're probably right. I think you're right. I'm almost positive you're right. I think you're right. Okay. So we got an email from somebody named Billy Bolotino, And Billy says, Steve and Sean. Okay, guys, this is a small email, but a big impact here. Steve and Sean, a big Columbo fan and a fan of your podcast. I have listened to all of your 70s ones multiple times.
Wow.
He doesn't like the 90s ones, Steve. He doesn't like
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Tough call, but I will take Culp over Cassidy. Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
You haven't voiced your opinion about that. Culp or Cassidy there, Steve?
Geez. It's weird. It's kind of like, I like Van Halen. Do I like David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar? It just really depends on the mood I'm in and what I've been listening to.
Yeah.
But I think right now, I would probably go with Cassidy. Quite honest. I don't know. He just
maybe it's because
he looks like he could be a snake in the grass. He just has that look to him.
Maybe it's because we've done the Culp ones already. We just by the way that the will was spun.
Yeah,
we've only done one Cassidy, so
Culp will do a really good angry face. When he gets mad at Columbo, which he almost always does.
It took me a minute to connect with the word chick.
He's just always angry. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go on. I'm sorry.
Billy's got one more thing to say. If you are ever in L.A., and Billy, if you listen to this, you can tell we're never in L.A. If you're ever in L.A., you have an open invite to my show. Best Billy. Okay, so I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know his show. What? So, I did some research, which means I Googled his name, and apparently the director of the Conan O'Brien show listens to our podcast.
Oh, he's on Team Coco. Wow.
Yeah, he's Team Coco. Yeah. I am going to have to stop watching Jimmy Kimmel videos on YouTube.
Well, it's funny because Sean, before we started recording, told me, hey, we got an interesting email. I'm going to read you, but he said, before I do, I want to ask you, who's your favorite talk show host? And what did I say, Sean?
You said Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, so yeah. I thought that was interesting, and that totally I had no idea that we got an email like that, so that's funny.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. With that, by the way, when I read that, I went and told my other half, couldn't give a shit. Was excited as hell.
He's like,
that's
who?
Nice. Couldn't give a shit. Yeah, who? Yeah.
It'd be like if you went to Tom Baker's house. Sorry. Go on, read the next email.
There's no more. That's it. There's no more emails. Okay. There's no more emails. There's no more feedback.
It was as if you went to Tom Baker's house and you said, let's watch an episode of All Creatures Great and Small starring Peter Davidson. And Tom Baker would be like, who?
Let's watch Wurzel Gumrich or whatever it is that John Pertwee was in. Okay, Steve. There's only 2 left.
I've been looking so forward to this day. We're getting closer.
There's only 2 left.
2 down, huh?
And so, Steve, why don't you, for the last time ever...
Why did it have to be the last time?
Because
2 more.
You're not going to have to... Well, you're going to spin the swinging wheel of the 70s again. But this is the last time that you will spin the Wiggin wheel of the 90s. So let her rip. And we are going to watch... All right, we are going to watch Columbo Goes to the Guillotine.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, that is the first of the 90s episodes. Actually, it's technically 1989. I don't remember the name of the actor who plays the killer, but he's a psychic. A professional psychic. So, yeah.
Is it kind of like a magician kind of thing? Or
yeah,
like the guillotine?
there's a lot of magic in this one. Yeah, there's a magician. There might be a guillotine. There might be some magic. There might be some talk about magic. There might be... Yeah, so for those of you who are taking note, that means that Murder in Malibu will be our final 90s episode. So that will be in season 10 of the podcast. This is the last episode of season 9. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've gone from Blueprint for Murder to Forgotten Lady. So we'll open up season 10 with Columbo Goes to the Guillotine, ladies and gentlemen. So say goodnight, Steve.
Good night, everyone.
Bye! Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @columboconfab, and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes.
I love clues.
Hello, I'm Sean, and I'm the host of the 1001 Movies podcast, based on the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Each episode, I randomly pick a film from the book and spend about 10 minutes talking about its director, the cast, the genre, and my personal thoughts on the merits of the film. Each delicious yet bite-sized episode contains information about a film from practically any genre, any country, or any year. Check us out on iTunes and we'll send you free cookies. Some restrictions apply.